for Nebraska, it's pretty simple what their job is going to be this week. Iowa's going to be starting a third-string walk-on quarterback, Jackson Stratton, who was once a linebacker.
Wow.
His backup in this game is wearing a hard cast on his non-throwing arm, can't even take snaps under center. But what will they do? They'll hand the ball off to the best running back in the Big Ten, Caleb Johnson.
That's what they'll do, and they'll run outside zone. Sometimes they'll go outside, sometimes they'll cut it up, and it'll look really good because they do it about as well as anybody. I've watched Iowa beat Nebraska with outside zone so many times. It's not that it sounds a lot easier to defend than it is. Johnson has tailed off a little bit in this month, right?
Longest run of the month is 16 yards.
He's a big
He had
hoss.
100 yards at halftime last week.
That's not big, not tailing off a ton.
But he had 30 some carries in the game. He had
35.
So
they'll hammer. Yeah, you're right. They'll hammer away with him. I'd like to overthink this because I do overthink just about everything, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. Caleb Johnson left, Caleb Johnson right, Caleb Johnson up the middle, and this is why I think it's a good matchup, Rob. I mean, Nebraska, their defense is since Ohio State hasn't been that good, right?
They've been timely good, with fourth down stops.
They're always good in short yardage, most of the time.
Yeah. So, but compared to what their peak has been, it's been nowhere near that. They've shown flashes of being exceptionally better than what we've seen, but they've been good enough. And maybe the biggest weakness right now, at least over the last couple of weeks, has been their secondary.
Right.
Well, who's not going to challenge their secondary hardly
Probably
whatsoever?
not.
At least you wouldn't think.
No, probably not.
They
much.
made Braden Locke look like All-American, but they have a tendency to do that. But I don't know if that's going to be the case this week because Wisconsin or Iowa doesn't have Wisconsin's receivers, even with Pauling being out. And they're working with the guy, like you said, Sean was playing linebacker not too long ago.
They converted 5 first downs through the air last week. So not a lot of passing. Iowa against Maryland was 9 of 11 on throws 9 yards or less, like short throws. And that's where 4 of their first downs were. So you know what they're going to do. When they pass, it's just going to be kind of a quick dump out to a tight end or a running back. It's not going to be anything down the field. Now, he threw 2 20-plus yard balls down the field. Both were incomplete.
And here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Adding on to this conversation, Matt Rule said something very smart on Monday. It's like the game doesn't start for Iowa until the second half. Mm-hmm. They'll be really patient with whatever. They'll be patient, and that's a great way to put it with Iowa. It's like the game starts at halftime.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that just wait for you to make a mistake, and then they pounce.
Yeah, and they will.
Special teams with defensive turnovers,
they'll go after a punt.
Yeah.
It's sort of annoying, but I can just hear Ferentz saying in the halftime locker room, "Just wait, Nebraska will make a mistake. Don't worry, they'll make some mistakes. Just be ready to pounce."
Look at the series and how the last 10 matchups have gone. It's usually that's what happens.
Right. Yeah. Well, and let's be fair to Nebraska. That happens to a lot of teams against Iowa.
True.
They kind of lull you into this game that you don't want to be in and then pounce.
They force you off the road and make you drive in the mud. And then you just
and
at
you have
that point you're just like,
you have a Camry, and it's just not working, right? It's just not good.
Now, can Dylan Raiola stay on the road? I mean, if Dylan Raiola in this game is able to do more, I mean, it puts pressure because if you can get up on Iowa, they're not built to come from behind with Jackson Stratton.
No, they're not, but they're patient. So I don't know.
And they will, mark my word, try to block a punt. If not multiple, I mean, that's going to be part of their recipe to win this game.
Mm-hmm. Got to be really strong on special teams. Nebraska has to be strong across the board. Pretty much strong across the board against Wisconsin. And again, Rule talked on Monday. Special teams is quietly sort of rounded into form. You're seeing John Hull just hammer field goals. I mean, he hammers them. You know, they're not sneaking through. Bruscini is a bona fide NFL punter. It's pretty evident at this point. The kick, they got as Matt pointed out, huge kickoff return to start the Wisconsin game, kind of a tone setter. Mm-hmm. They've been okay in coverage most of the time, a little leaky on kickoff coverage against Wisconsin, but generally, really, the special teams have come a long way.
Yeah, just look at where they were not too long ago. Like that Purdue game, they could barely even get a punt off. They had field goals blocked, multiple field goals
They were
blocked.
catastrophe.
I mean, he was like one of the most disastrous special teams performances you're ever going to see. Now look at them. They were outside of a couple big kickoff returns or a couple good kickoff returns with Wisconsin. They were excellent across the board.
And another thing to watch, Riley Van Poppel, they've been sitting on that fourth game.
Okay.
The last time he played was Rutgers, and they created this heavy package to match up with Rutgers' run game. You have to think we'll see something similar again, knowing that fourth game is available now for Riley Van Poppel, and a game where you know Iowa's going to run it.
Interesting. So you think we'll see 44?
Yeah, I think you'll see Nebraska kind of play with more armor out there. They'll play heavier.
Rob, tell me he's 44. Yeah, that's a good. I would hope they would do that because he's fresh, right?
This is not a James Williams game.
Well,
I mean,
not necessarily. No, he only played 12 snaps the other day too.
This is going to be a man's game. This is going to be a heavy.
Well, James is a man.
A big run stopping game,
right?
Yeah,
James is
like Jamari Butler, Nash Hutmacher, Ty Robinson, probably Riley Van Poppel. One thing too, Robin, I've noticed they've rotated linebackers a lot for Nebraska, where we've seen Shavers and McGahee continue to take reps,
early reps too. It's not like 2 drives and then rotate in the back. Like they're guys that are coming in playing key situational, like third downs. With I don't know if it's just a matter of trying to keep those to that top group fresh, or just the totality of the season. But they're rotating more, and they're doing it a lot earlier in games than they have.
And they're playing Javen Wright more snaps now. His snaps, he's up to 27 now. Remember when he first came back, it was more like 9 to 11. Javen Wright's up to 27.
Yeah, he played the second most snaps of any linebacker.
Bullock scored very well on Saturday. That was one of Bullock's higher scoring games, right? Pro Football Focus wise.
It's up there.
Yeah, he scored really well. The linebackers, I'd say they played pretty well as a group.
Yeah, I think they were the strongest unit of anyone or of any level of the defense. They rushed the passer. They had 5 of the 7 pressures, 4 of the 5 hits on the quarterback, and were able to just be disruptive against the run and pass.
They're huge. They're huge in this game. The front 7 generally is huge. Another guy to watch who played a little bit more is Keona Davis. Played 11 snaps in that game. His snaps were up. Guys like him are really valuable guys. Kai Wallen, his snaps were a little up.
14.
I'm looking at those guys because they are the future. I mean, Van Poppel, Wallen, Butler, Wilhite, I call him Wilhite, Davis, Keona Davis, future. Vincent Jackson, future.
Judy's back.
Judy.
Yep. Those guys got to be good.
Hey, here's some perspective. Nebraska played
Judy's huge.
10 defensive linemen over 55 snaps for Wisconsin.
Yeah. Hey, we don't mention Judy enough, I don't think. Judy's become pretty formidable in that program.
All right. And if you're wondering, Jackson Stratton, not a runner, last week did not have any scramble yards at all. Had 2 design runs go for -3 yards.
God, it's a good matchup.
So there's
not
a lot
matchup
you like about this one.